I'm Alma Langlois, and not only do I love Southern Gothic, I am Southern Gothic.
Where you come from is gone. Where you thought you were going to weren't never there. And where you are ain't no good unless you can get away from it.
And while Southern Gothic is a rich literary subgenre, film doesn't mind this regional territory quite as often. But today, I have one of my favorite slices of cinematic Southern Gothic for you. I'm talking about Lemora, A Child's Tale of the Supernatural, released in 1973, co-written, directed by, and co-starring Richard Blackburn. Blackburn and his co-writer and producer Robert Fern were both Vietnam veterans studying film at UCLA. With Count Yorga being a success, the two decided to make their mark with a vampire film. Blackburn had deep roots in the American South. His maternal grandfather was from Eufaula, Alabama, and most of his mother's family lived in Memphis. His father's family was all from Richmond. Blackburn spent a lot of his childhood in the South, and Southern culture was a big creative influence on him. Completely independently financed, Lemora was executive produced by Blackburn's father. Set during the Great Depression, Cheryl Rainbeaux Smith stars as Lila Lee, the angelic 13-year-old daughter of a notorious gangster who's on the lam after machine gunning Lila's mama after finding her in bed with another man. Lila's been adopted by the Reverend, played by none other than Richard Blackburn. She lives a life of purity and piety when she receives a letter from the mysterious Lemora that her father is on his deathbed and that she must come see him. Wanting to forgive and be a good Christian, Lila is sent on a journey into the dark heart of the rural South, plunged into a nightmare world of degenerating monsters and becloaked vampires, including Lemora herself, who may have sinister intentions in mind. Blackburn said the film was inspired by Night of the Hunter, and there are similarities. Both were flops upon release, and both were the sole directorial effort of their creator. But now they're both revered and embraced by new audiences. Too arty for the drive-in crowd and too low budget for the art house crowd, Lemora was also savaged by critics. Leonard Maltin gave it a bomb rating in his movie guide.
Show Dick some respect.
Jeez, what crawled up that guy's butt? I mean, isn't this the same guy that gave Boogeyman 3 stars? Boogeyman! I, for one, love low-budget personal visions, and those glorious crossroads where exploitation and art house intersect, so Lemora is straight up my alley. I can tell there are a few scenes where Blackburn must have run out of time or budget for whatever he planned to do, but Lemora still punches way above its weight. While set in the Depression-era South, it was shot mostly in Pomona, California, but thanks to the artistry of the crew, it pulls off its period look and setting perfectly. A lot of time when Hollywood subs in Southern California for the South, it's none too convincing, but Lemora does this pretty well, with some critics even believing it was shot in North Carolina or Georgia. I chalk this up to Blackburn's feel for the region. Some of the accents are a little ham-fisted, but all in all, I love the Southern feel of this film.
There was an old woman, all skin and bones, and she did weep and she did moan, she walked on through the streets of town, where all the dead lay on the ground, then turning to the parson said, will I look like that when I am dead? The parson to the old woman said,
Blackburn said he pulled that song from his Virginian grandmother, who would sing that to him as a child. And that tickled me because I grew up in Texas and I remember singing this around Halloween time in elementary school. Whatever the film lacked in resources, it makes up for it in atmosphere. I love the unique look and visual style of the film. And though I've never heard Blackburn cite him as an influence, the supernaturally saturated colors remind me of Mario Bava. And and the Southern Gothic meets Victorian macabre aesthetic is everything my dreams are made of. The look of the film was influenced by the Charles Addams book Homebodies. The production designer Sterling Frank even tore out individual pages of Blackburn's copy of the book for reference. I also adore the costumes by Rosanna Norton, especially Lemora's gorgeous Victorian goth getup. Miss Norton was the costume designer for Carrie, Phantom of the Paradise, and The Sigh of Evil. Between the dress, that hair, and that fabulously ghoulish makeup, I am so tempted to dress up as Lemora for Halloween. And speaking of this in Messiah of Evil, I really miss those moody, dreamlike horror movies we got so many of in the 70s, the most famous being Phantasm. H.P. Lovecraft and early folk horror short stories tend to be an influence on all of these, and Blackburn cited Lovecraft's The Shadow over Innsmouth and Arthur Machen's The White People as inspiration. Lemora feels like a cross between a beautiful fever dream and a fairy tale in which an innocent young woman faces the disillusionment of adulthood. From Lila's innocent point of view, to become an adult is to be corrupted and literally turned into a monster. Blackburn stated on the Synapse Films DVD commentary that the film is about sexual repression. And it's kind of a no-duh that vampires, dating all the way back to Bram Stoker's Dracula, are often a representation of sexual id. Lila, a 13-year-old girl torn between two father figures, her notorious gangster dad and the repressed Reverend surrogate dad, is equally conflicted between her Christian values and her emerging sexuality. She's put up by boys her own age, dismissing them as dirty-minded, and she's distressed by the attention she receives from the grown men around her, including the Reverend. Although, watching the film this time, I wondered how much of the Reverend's attraction to Lila is his own sexual repression coming out in weird ways, fixating on the one female he views as purity personified, or if it's Lila's perception of him, interpreting his unease around her now that she's growing into womanhood as repressed desire for her. Lila is conflicted between fearing sexual attention from men and wanting to be desired.
You're not so good.
You're a hypocrite. A liar.
The Reverend.
You know he wants you.
You know why.
You encourage him.
Don't you?
You see everybody trying to seduce you, drain you, devour you, but it's you. You want to seduce. You want to drain. You want to devour.
To me, Lemora symbolizes both the matriarchal figure to Lila, the mother missing from her life, and Lila's own ambivalent feelings about adult female sexuality. Lemora, regal and composed, is alluring, but ultimately dangerous. She's glamorous, but her appearance also connotes death and decay. And her desires are predatory as she consumes the objects of her affection.
Isn't it lovely? Tomorrow, after the ceremony, you and I will become blood sisters. Then all my power, all my beauty, all my life will be yours to share.
What kind of ceremony? In a church?
Yes?
Baptist?
Oh, no.
Though she initially appears as a maternal figure, Lila discovers that Lemora devours the children in her care, symbolizing the innocence of childhood being destroyed by the moral rot of adulthood. With its themes and vampire symbolism, it strikes me as a more gothic companion to the Czech New Wave film Valerie and Her Week of Wonders. And who more perfect to play a young girl lost in the perverse fairy tale with her dazed, dreamy persona than drive-in wave Cheryl Rainbeaux Smith. Cheryl was only 17 when she made Lemora. Some of her dreaminess may have been induced by the painkillers she was supposedly on during filming. Blackburn stated that he directed her to be screaming and hysterical when encountering the film's monsters, but instead she appears more stupefied, which Blackburn realized was an improvement as he thought it contributed to the dreamlike feel of the film. Cheryl was a native Los Angelino, growing up without much guidance in a particularly wild time in the city's history. The film's commentary participants note that Cheryl appeared to be more of her mother's mother than the other way around, and she took on a maternal role with her friends. She earned her nickname, Rainbeaux, from being a regular at the Rainbeaux Bar and Grill on the Sunset Strip. At one point, she was even filling in as a drummer for the Runaways in their final days. In her teens, she was already a girl who had grown up too fast and seen too much. Blackburn, in directing her performance, was explaining that her character was an innocent, to which Smith responded, "Oh, like when a guy pulls up beside you in a Cadillac and offers you a 20 and you don't take it?" She became a fixture in exploitation movies like Massacre at Central High, Swingin' Cheerleaders, Revenge of the Cheerleaders, and the lovably trashy Mandingo sequel, Drum, where she plays the bratty daughter of the legendary Warren Oates.
No, I ain't.
Yes, you is.
And the great women in prison flick, Caged Heat. It's interesting her two lead roles are both fairy tale inspired films, Lemora and a sexploitation version of Cinderella. Cheryl auditioned for the role of Iris in Taxi Driver and had a supporting role in Walter Hill's The Driver, which was unfortunately left on the cutting room floor. She battled heroin addiction for years, was often homeless, and dabbled in prostitution in MacArthur Park. She ended up serving 2 prison terms for drug-related offenses, although she maintained her creative flair, designing tattoos for her fellow inmates. From drug addiction, she contracted hepatitis, which led to her premature death at age 47. As great as she is in her role, I think the film's best performance is Lesley Gilb as Lemora. She's pure elegant menace, and her angular features and velvet voice are perfection. Lesley was born in Seattle, but raised in Berkeley, the daughter of an academic mother and an inventor father. She was very much a free-spirited child of 1960s Northern California, surrounding herself with a circle of artists and political radicals, and appearing in experimental films, attending protests, and generally running wild. Blackburn described her as an intellectual, someone he thought would end up being a teacher or an academic rather than an actress. She had an adventurous streak, working several jobs in her adult life, including being a film producer and production manager, teaching, researching and editing, managing an art gallery, and working at Carl Sagan's Cosmos Studios. She spent the last decade of her life performing philanthropic work in downtown Los Angeles, including a used book giveaway for Project Homeless Connect, and playing an important role in the Skid Row Photography Club and the Skid Row Neighborhood Cleanup. She died at age 62 in a car accident on Highway 101 in Los Angeles. Lemora bounced around between a few distributors, but never quite found its audience upon release. Regrettably, discouraged by the poor reception of Lemora, Richard Blackburn never directed again. But he would co-write and co-star in one of my all-time favorites, EATING RAOUL.
I'll drink to that.
But Lemora's reputation has grown over the years. Many fans introduced to it through late-night TV, including on Elvira's movie Macabre. Blackburn said he got a phone call from his father one evening proclaiming, "There's a crazy woman on TV making fun of our movie." Synapse Films also released it on DVD back in the aughts in a glorious new transfer that Blackburn proclaimed looked better than the release prints. I'm linking it down below if you want to check it out. Well, I think it's time to retreat back to the crypt before sundown. But join me next time for more of the glamorous undead in one of Hammer Film's greatest pictures. I'm talking about The Vampire Lovers. And join me on Patreon for exclusive reviews. This month, Toby Hooper brings us an impossibly gorgeous intergalactic space vampire who sucks the life out of every man and woman she locks lips with. It's a movie so bonkers, so bizarre, that Steve Railsback is the good guy. I'm talking about Life Force. But until then, pleasant nightmares.